Garrett, I believe it was 19 months he got his official diagnosis, but we knew shortly after age 1. We could tell he was slipping away. They didn't think he was autistic, in fact. They thought I was just, what's the word? Neurotic? I don't know. Not neurotic. Too worried, I guess. But I knew.
I handed him this sheet of paper. I said, this is all the things he does. And he looked at the sheet of paper and he looked at me and he said, he's autistic.
It was overwhelming. Garrett has global issues. He has mild CP, which is cerebral palsy, which affects his muscle tone, so he's very clumsy. He has apraxia, which is a speech problem. Pica, which means he eats non-edible items. He also has very severe autism, so he requires a 24-hour adult supervision for his own safety. We have twin boys, Grant and Garrett. They're 9.5 now. And then we have Tori, age 7. And Ruby being our new addition. Ruby is a golden retriever. She's a very welcome added asset, and I can't imagine life without her.
She's our 2-year-old.
She's our 2-year-old, yeah. But she's a very mature 2-year-old.
But she acts like,
yeah, she's a little adult. Garrett is constantly putting himself in danger. He really doesn't understand danger the way a typical child would. He will escape the house, which is one of the biggest issues, the safety issue with Garrett. He is constantly trying to escape, and he wants to go out and run into the street, climb into people's cars. He'll go into people's homes.
And his social issues, it makes it difficult when you take him places. We tend to avoid going. With Garrett, you need a lot of people watching him. We're always hoping he'll get better.
We hope to never institutionalize him. That's why we're trying so hard to get him all the therapy he needs now. We found Tender Loving Canines on the internet, and we were so thrilled when Karen came out with one of the trainers and interviewed us. And they were the only company that was willing to take on this kid with autism.
Tender Loving Canines Assistance Dogs is a nonprofit organization. Leash on Life is our program for individuals on the autism spectrum. Ruby was placed with the Tingens after she completed 18 months of training. And then we could see that she was very calm, very good with children, because we'd had exposed her to many situations. When I took Ruby to his house for the first time, I didn't really know how she was going to react, let alone how Garrett was going to react.
Tender Loving Canines really spent a lot of time with us, training us. They put a lot of care and time into making sure it was done right and that we were trained properly and that Ruby and Garrett got along and that Garrett was good to Ruby. And after she finally was placed with us in January, Tender Loving Canines continued to come into our home every month, and she's also being trained to locate Garrett when he goes missing, and she's been very, very successful. Karen from Tender Living Canines is hiding Garrett, and Ruby and I are going to take a walk far away, and she's going to locate Garrett. So it doesn't just end with Tender Loving Canines once you're placed. They're here forever. And we do need the help. It's very worth it though. The payback is 10,000-fold. Well, we live in Fort Knox and we have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locks, alarms, and 2 deadbolts on the front
Then there's
door.
this one, and then he'll steal the keys to try to unlock the front door.
Ruby is harnessed to Garrett. Garrett was her waistband with a bungee cord attached to her jacket. And then there's also an additional squishy handle, which is very engaging for Garrett, just the squishiness of it. And then I'm holding Ruby's leash, so I'm in control of Ruby and directing her where to go. But Garrett cannot break away, and if he does try to break away, and he has on many occasions, Ruby is trained to brace, and she will not let him leave. So it works very well in keeping him secure.
Family members actually get the calming aspect that a dog can offer as well, and if their child is calmer, they're calmer. Garrett and Ruby are a very good match. I believe very much in the healing power of pets. I've seen it. I've seen it many, many times over.
Well, she's much more than just our best friend. Garrett loves Ruby, and Ruby loves Garrett. Ruby has brought a lot of joy to our family, and particularly to Garrett. He makes him smile, and he loves to sing to her.
Oh, Ruby, she's so talky.
For a boy that has very little language, it's an amazing thing to see. Garrett has a friend. He's never had a real friend before. You know, you don't think of children with autism being lonely just because they can't express it. Ruby has filled that void, I think. For the whole family, it's been a real positive effect. I love having her around. She's my little shadow. Our future is much more brighter now that we've got Ruby in the family. She's going to help Garrett navigate through life. You know, all those social skills that he's lacking, it helps him communicate with people, and I think it's making him a more warm human being.
Ruby dog, never fail. Yeah!
And he's a much happier little boy, and most importantly,
That was good.